As a young person, I often felt like I was the only one my age that was really interested in worshipping and fasting and praying, and not for the sake of entertainment, but for the sake of digging deeper and knowing God. And it often felt like a really lonely walk and really discouraging. When I was 18, there was an amazing move of God in America, and I just needed to go. And I went, and it really impacted me and inspired me for my own nation. And at that time, I made a top 20 wish list of things I'd like to see happen in my life. And one of them was being part of a youth revival movement where I led worship. And in my head, I kind of thought, oh, well, it doesn't really make sense. I don't see how that could happen. And I just thought it was one of those random things. When I was about 19, my mum actually introduced me to James, who's now my husband. And he shared with me his vision for prayer and Prayer Storm. And it was so exciting to me. It was like what I'd been looking for. And he was looking for worship leaders who were unknown, who had a heart for prayer and revival. I felt like I'd found a community of kindred faith, like-minded young people like myself. And it was so exciting because it opened my eyes to the prayer movement, which was amazing because I found that there were so many others like me who were young and wanted to give themselves fully to Jesus. I was so used to being in little prayer meetings with myself and a bunch of older ladies that my first Prayer Storm meeting was a little bit of a surprise. I kid you not, the first Prayer Storm prayer meeting I went to, it was me and all young adult men. It was such a shock. As the meetings grew, I saw 10-year-olds, I saw 65-year-olds, I saw 15-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 35-year-olds, black people, white people, Asian people, African people, European people. It was such an unusual mix of people, and they all came to just seek God. There were no famous worship leaders, no big names, no big speakers. Everyone just came to seek the face of God. Prayer Storm has massively impacted my life. God has really delivered and healed me from fear and fear of man. And I've learned that yes, there is a time to be quiet before God and still, but actually there's also a time to speak out. In the church of this nation, I've seen and even come under myself a cultural bondage of silence, and I never even realised until someone actually pointed out to me that it's not normal to fear praying out loud. It's not normal to be afraid to stand up for purity and for righteousness and for justice. Why should darkness have a voice and light have none? Why should evil be louder than good? Since when did we let darkness have our influence and take our voice? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defile the armies of the living God? And that was said by David before he came to face Goliath. Israel faced the same giant every day until someone was willing to stand up and say that. Mordecai says to Esther, "Do not think for a second that just because you're in the king's house, that will save you. For if you remain silent at this time, deliverance for the Jews will rise from another place, but you and your father's house will perish. For who knows if you have been brought to this royal position for such a time as this?" Martin Luther King once said, "History will have to record that the greatest tragedy of this period of social transition was not the strident clamour of bad people, but the appalling silence of the good people. The church is supposed to be a voice of righteousness, purity, justice, love, peace. But when the church is silent, these things have no voice." Sometimes I look back and think, I wish Prayer Storm was around when I was younger, but then I realise actually that I'm witnessing the rebirthing of a new generation of the prayer movement in this nation. And it's such an exciting thing getting to see houses of prayer being raised up and new prayer movements being built all over the show. I feel so excited and so honoured to be part of building the prayer movement in my little way. My name is Rebecca Aladiran and I'm a worship leader at Prayer Storm.